So there's two big issues that we're interested in talking about today. The first is the idea of service, and a specific aspect of service, if you will, customer service. And as a university, I feel as an administrator, we have a lot of customers. The one you think of first, and of course, most importantly, is our students. And the other is our staff and our faculty. And there are many interactions that we have with those groups. Community members also, in fact, being customers of what we do as a university. And how can we make sure that we project well and we interact with our customers in a way that's productive mutually? And I think it might be Sam Walton, but I'm not sure. He said, and this is probably the wrong person, so somebody's going to Google. But good customer service costs less than bad customer service. It's really important that when people have a problem here at the university or have an issue, whether it's a student who's trying to register for a course and can't get in, or it's a faculty member trying to get a grant in, or someone trying to get reimbursed for their travel, no matter what it is, that we do the best we can, that everyone feels a high motivation to get to the solution, to get to yes. And having said that, sometimes no is an answer to, can you sign me up for these 15 credits and give me an A for all of them? The answer to that is no. But how we can work together to make sure that we get to mutually agreeable and acceptable and positive outcomes for everybody. And it's really getting into that customer service orientation. I'm here to help. How can I help you? And if confronted with a problem that we ourselves can't solve, how do we help the person get to that solution without just sending them adrift and saying, this port here is not available, go back into the ocean and find your own way? How can we perhaps guide people to the right solution that will eventually get them to yes? So with that short prelude, we're very much interested in hearing your ideas, your thoughts, and then also we have a few things that are going on, and I'm going to give an opportunity to Vice Chancellor Hernandez, Francisco Hernandez, to talk a little bit about some of the things he's been doing in terms of a frontline customer service. But I think it's a pervasive issue, and I'm convinced that this is one of the underlying, it's not talked about a lot, but it's one of the underlying issues that if we can improve, we can become a really great university, and a university where students and great students and great faculty want to come. So with that, I'll open it up to the floor. Not all at once. Geez, come on. Sir. Oh, and by the way, but we have a couple microphones circulating around because we're live streaming people who are watching on the web, and hopefully all these empty seats are someone sitting in front of their computer watching because they didn't want to challenge the rain. So.
I just got a general comment. I graduated from UH Ed 68, and now I'm part of the senior program here taking classes. And I just want to make a comment that in the last 6 months, it seems like this campus has gotten better. The graffiti's gone, the yards looking, the grounds are looking better, the bathrooms are cleaner. Just that's just a general comment I've got. Looking up. So.
Congratulations to the facilities and folks in our facilities and so on. You just got a great kudos. I hope they see that on the web. That's great, and I'm glad to hear that. That's wonderful. Good job. I'm glad I picked a topic that has so much. Francisco, do you want to Do you want to, wait. Yes. Barb.
One of the frustrating things about this campus is you want to be responsive to whoever sends you an email, but the problem is sometimes the email is sent from a student help and you cannot remember their name to respond. So one of the things that other campuses have done is send an email from an official, like, departmental email. So all the emails that go out come back to the same server, so the secretary can then, go through the emails and send it to the right person. So, so many emails on this campus are sent by student help, and you cannot remember who it came from. So IT, the way we do IT processing might be improved on this campus if we can do that.
That's a great point. Is there any chance David Lasner is here? Or is there someone from IT who might carry this back? Would you do that? If I tried to explain that to David, I wouldn't know what to say, but you probably do. You're probably savvy enough that you understand the issue. Great. Thank you. Because that would be important. Thank you, Barb. It's a smaller group, but a quieter one, too. Oh, good.
Sorry.
No, hey, thank you.
It's about IT again. In about 8 years ago, the chairs got together and we thought when Banner was being rolled out, that it would be great for IT to create a departmental on-time majors list. So we don't have to create our own list. It's an automated thing, it can be programmed in, and every semester, 2 times in the semester, you would get a list of all the official majors in your, because they come in and out during the semester. If we could get that list, and it's been 8 years later and we have not gotten that list yet, it would be really helpful for chairs to be able to improve the communication between ourselves, our faculty, and our majors each semester.
Great, thank you. I see our friend has his reading glasses on and is taking notes, so thank you, sir. I'm sorry I don't know your name, but yes.
Hi, I was wondering if there's a plan to have an enhanced web presence. I think in today's society, a lot of people can get at least the really initial customer service needs by going online, trying to figure things out, and I know some of our web pages look great, other ones are really bad, other ones are, I cannot find my way around it no matter what. I can't find out what the policies are, the procedures are, who to contact, and I wondered if there's like an overall university plan to help improve that, because some of our stuff looks a bit outdated.
Yeah, and that's a great question. Our web presence is so complicated, but your comment tells me we need to think about this, at least at Manoa, in terms of, my office works in the kind of the Chancellor's office. We have so many different groups out there, all the different colleges, programs, and so on. And what we don't have, and we don't have a strong presence in this way, is a group that looks at the entire web presence. I've been thinking about the fact that we need, in a different venue, that we need an overall branding idea. And so you make sure little things, like when somebody comes to UH Manoa, they don't get into a website and then click on something interesting and it kicks them out, so we lose them. That when we go to different sites, we do have certain sites here where you would have no idea that you're at Manoa. You'd be looking at this great program and where is this? And you might search and then find out it's at the University of Hawaii, but you still wouldn't know it's at Manoa. We have tremendous variance in web presence, and it's usually, I'm going to guess, tied to budgets. And so there's that issue, but it would be good. And there's this really fine balance between having a web master who sets certain standards and having a web czar who then gets all people angry because they want things done in a You know, the art department shouldn't look the same as electrical engineering. But you should be able to go to both and see it's UH Manoa. And most importantly, and maybe where we need the most uniformity is I want information. I want to know, yeah, and so the portal system. So who am I? I'm a prospective student. And your browser remembers who you are. I'm a prospective student, I'm a faculty member, I'm a staff member, I'm a potential donor, I'm an alum, and they come in with a certain look. And I would love to see us get that Manoa-wide or university-wide, but have a portal system that gets people closer to the information they need. I do think that if you look at the campus, we have probably 150, more than that, in fact, maybe 300 entities. And you'll find some that are great because they have a really dedicated, good person they can afford who has all the great guidance, and then we have other entities that don't. And trying to fix that's an important part. And I think what I'll do, based on your comment, is form a little HUI to figure out how we can do that better.
We're spending money on the back end by having staff that feel. You know, if I have a question for OHR, for example, but I know that, you know, I should be able to just make a couple clicks and I could get my answer versus having to call somebody. You know, we're spending money either way, but you know, they're clunky at best, and every single thing is a downloadable PDF, which just irks me. You know, there's some things that it's not necessarily the investment or, you know, trying to make it overly, you know, everybody having to comply, but it's just the basics that you should be able to find on each page that you click. Yeah. I spent a lot of time answering questions from people who are like, well, you know, I don't know where to find how I'm supposed to do it. I'm happy to do it if I could just find out rather than calling somebody or showing up in an office.
The telephone is still the most powerful other than face-to-face, the most powerful method of communication, but it's particularly powerful when there are deep issues that are not, it's not so powerful with what's the fall per credit tuition. That's something you want to look up on the web when it's what are ways I can help get my funding for that tuition and fine grain, then that's what I want our people to be spending the majority of their time on. So I couldn't agree with you more. Let's try to get as much information readily available and clear on the web so that the actual customer service is in those tougher ones. And you know, here's the other thing that I think we all appreciate but maybe need to commit to as a university. When people come in to see you in whatever position you're in, they've already tried all the easy things. And I'll say when somebody comes to my office, I know I got a real doozy because I know they've gone through the normal chains. There aren't easy solutions usually, and that's where we need the time and the care and the caring to sit down and say, this is, in many cases, especially, and I'll say, you know, with apologies to my faculty, when we're dealing with a 17 or 18-year-old who is in a near panic mode, we're dealing at that time with one of the biggest issues they've ever faced in their life. That's really true. And we have to give it that seriousness. We have to understand that this is the kind of, now maybe in our, you know, after you have this many gray hairs, you've been through a number of these things, but when you're 17 or 18 and you're trying to get a course and you can't get, and you're seeing your degree take another year, that is a monumental event in your life. And we have to treat it with that respect, I think. Yes?
Thank you. I had a concern. I went into a department as part of teacher education. You always try to supplement your knowledge and always try to be current. And that updating of professional development can be done through like CEUs, which are continuing education units, I went into an office and I asked them, how do I acknowledge to the university CEUs, or does the university even accept CEUs, particularly as it relates to like HR and all those kinds of things? They didn't know what I was talking about. And I was thinking, okay, they sent me to another office. That office sent me back to the other office saying, well, they're the ones that's, and at that given time, it should have been easier. I came to them because that information was not online and still isn't. So I'm wondering, for those, if we are committed to teacher education and updating our professional development and keeping that current, what, as a student, as a faculty, as a potential faculty, how can that be captured and acknowledged someplace?
Yeah.
That's the first question.
Yeah, and actually I'm already mic'd, so, and that's a great question. I can't possibly give you the details of that particular area, but I can tell you the times in my life when I'm most frustrated or when I'm getting the rat race. Go to A. You go to A, they say, go to B. You go to B, B tells you go to A. Wait, I was just at A. Oh, okay, try C. You go to C, and C says, I don't know what you're talking about, go to B. And that's just, you know, and imagine, even, you're so young, you're probably a student, but imagine if you're, you know, a 17-year-old whose life is now being up, you know, thrown up in an upheaval, and you're trying to navigate that, and you don't have the skills to do that. So in general, that service, that the first person you see says, I might not know the answer, but you know what? Stay right where you are. I'm going to call, rather than you walking across campus to an office that might be the answer, that person in the role of, I'm going to help you. I'm here to help. I'm going to call over there and ask them, are you the right person for her to see? So that if you go there, and by the way, she's going to be there in 5 minutes. That kind of thing, rather than sending you over there, you find out it's not the right place and they tell you to come back.
On a PS on that, I asked a person who I thought was in the know, did we have a certain degree program? And they told me no. And a year passed by, and I just happened to have and I had already done the research on in the manuals and the books and all that kind of stuff. I had asked a person, they told me no. They even referred me to another university to get the document, like in the mainland. And then I found out a year later, in a casual conversation with someone else, that we had the program all along.
Yeah, in that, you know, this is a particular instance, but I will say this, and this is something maybe we need to have a conversation about too, is that we don't want to hear at the university a culture of no. Actually, I wish I could, and I'm no Billy Canoy, but at the board meeting yesterday, he said something that was really, really great, and of course he's an incredibly passionate guy, and he said when someone who works for him as mayor of the Big Island, when someone that says no 3 times, he fires them. You know, now, I mean, it's the culture of no versus the culture of yes, we can. You know, let's find a way to do things. And so, you know, what I would really like is for everyone to feel that we have a responsive culture here. When someone has an issue, we respond. Now, I said before, I want 15 credits and I want A's without doing any work. That simple example, the answer is no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. But you clearly have an issue here with your academic performance. Who can I send you to? What do you need help with to try to get those same 15 credits and get A's? What's the answer to make that happen? So getting to a culture that's responsive, that gets to yes, whatever yes looks like. as opposed to no. We can't do that. We don't do that. You don't have the right form. You know, no, we don't. You don't have the right form is never an answer. It's, I see that you didn't fill out the right form. The form you need is this. Let me get you one, or here's where that form is. And by the way, when you fill that out, the other thing you're going to need to do, you need to show a photo ID and all that, just so you're ready. You know, those kind of things that we all expect. When we, you know, we've all had these moments when you go to the drugstore, and oh, no, sorry, we didn't get, your prescription wasn't phoned in the right way or something, and the frustration because you're there and you took an extra 20 minutes. Those kind of issues, those kinds of things that happen that really bug us. And I do think, in particular, there's a magnifying effect when you're a 17 or 18-year-old too. And not that, you know, we have a lot of issues with faculty and staff here as well, but we really have to get to a culture of yes, we can help, we're here to help, and we'll be a great university when we do that. Sir, and we do have to, oh, I'm sorry, you're next,
I have a question, a comment about campus cleanliness. And it appears that I work in Moore Hall, and it appears that the first floors are rarely mopped and swept, just to let you know. And I think last year, maybe once last year, they were cleaned.
Oh.
So that's not a very pleasant working environment. And I often see cat food in the courtyard in Moore Hall, so that attracts the feral cats, despite signs asking people not to leave cat food.
And we are working, and we've had some conversation about campus appearance, maintenance of the campus. We're putting new monies into that. It hasn't, not all that's happened yet. We're going to work on classrooms first, but we do have also, and this will be probably a next campus conversation. We'll talk about zone management and making sure that our areas are better kept than they are today. I think we all realize, and we heard some good news earlier in the program, that some parts of campus are really looking better, but we're going to keep improving that. The feral cat issue, we could probably have a whole, we have some pretty serious issues there that at some point soon we're going to have to decide. You know, we may need, in all seriousness, we may need a feral cat discussion in this room. In all seriousness, we have some pretty strong opinions on both sides of that.
Hello? Okay, I'm going. I like that culture in those situations. You get a T-shirt made on that. It's really slick. Yeah. I wanted to say this about, because I work for campus security, the security escort, and I was wondering whether or not anything's being done for that shuttle that runs at night, that little ghost bus, that white bus that nobody's ever on. And we run the security escort service, and we're like low on vehicles. And I was asking whether or not we could maybe, if possible, discontinue that service and add more money to the budget that we have for the security service. Make sense?
You know, and that's a wisdom that I don't have, but I'll defer when we have some folks from campus. Yeah, actually, this is a great, your question's a perfect segue into the second half of our discussion, because we did want to talk about campus security next. And so what I think I'm hearing is that we may be spending money in a not very effective way, and there may be other ways to and I'm seeing some nods from some of the pros here. So
we got some pros in the house with it. Oh, how you doing, Sarge?
So I'll give an opportunity for one last question, maybe on the customer service, and then we'll go into campus security.
Comment to Billy Canoy's statement about firing somebody after 3 no's. There's actually a book that's titled "Don't Fire Them, Fire Them Up." I like that approach a lot better.
I do too. Okay, campus security. Yes.
Just to follow up on Jabril's question on that shuttle, William Okamura, just to I guess they don't want me to say anyway, just to follow up on the question, I believe Commuter Services runs the shuttle service, and Jabril is basically correct. At some point in time, maybe 8 o'clock or so after that, the bus acts as a ghost shuttle because not very many students ride that. And so we have two vehicles which basically are dedicated for the escort program. And we get more service with that as compared to the shuttle. But if we're gonna somehow look at cutting back on the shuttle, then we need to boost the vehicle capacity at the security department. But I'm not the individual to give the nod on go ahead with the program, so I might be speaking out of turn.
Yeah, well, and in fact, it's really maybe because both of them ultimately report up to Kathy Cutshaw. Some internal optimization can be done there that's beyond. You know, I'm going to apologize tremendously to my good friend and colleague Francisco Hernandez, who I asked to speak earlier, and then we got going, and I forgot to invite you up here. My apologies, Francisco, and this would still be in the customer service realm. And I looked over there and saw Francisco, and I thought, oh, geez, will you forgive me, please, sir? And
yes, of course. And I thought I had lucked out and didn't have to. I was looking forward to the opportunity of not presenting. I do want to talk a little bit about the focus that we have in student affairs with regards to increasing the quality of the services that we provide students, because it's a constant concern for us. What I want to do is highlight where it is that we are concentrating our efforts. And they're really in three areas. The first, as was mentioned earlier, is in the technology. The second is the facilities both with regards to where the students are provided those services, but also the facilities for the staff who are providing the services, because in some cases the facilities were designed when there was a different service, when forms were handed across within a cubicle, or when services were face-to-face across a desk, as opposed to how services are delivered now. And the third is the staff training, continuous staff training for improvement as students change, and more importantly, as their needs change and their expectations change, as the millennials, I guess, and I'm not sure what the next generation is of students with regards to the expectations they have about what quality services. I joke that I went to college at a time when it cost $50 a semester to go, and we stood for 3 hours to pay $50, and we're to this woman that we never saw because she was behind this wall, and we handed over $50, and she handed over a receipt. When the bill goes to $9,000 per year, people are not going to stand in line for 3 hours to pay it. In fact, we will stand in line for 3 hours to collect it, as opposed to the other way around. And so all of those changes are reflected in student services, and we're anxious to work in all those areas. I'll just mention a couple in technology. What we're trying to do there is go as paperless as possible. And we've started with our health service, where it's all of your records are now computerized and available, so that the physicians can service you better. We've gone to a paperless system in admissions and cut the time of notification when a student applies in half, and we're looking to cut it another half so that students will know within days as opposed to within weeks whether they're admitted here. Or the next will be financial aid so that we don't lose the forms that the federal government requires us to collect all of the time. So technology is part of it. We're also going to start a 24-hour transcript request service, also online, so that people don't have to visit the office in order to do that. With regards to facilities and space, we're looking at our different buildings. You see the construction of in the campus center, all built around better services to students, designed with the assistance of students as to how it should work. We're also doing design work and renovations within our student services building, the QLC, in order to meet the needs of the next generation and their parents, by the way. As you know, we have parents, we used to call them helicopter, and because they hovered over us and students, and then Velcro because they were attached to students. And now we call them the snowplow parents because they'll come ahead of their students to let us know. And in part, it's made a change for us because now our customer has changed not only to the student but their entire families. So how we respond is going to be important. But we're trying to work with facilities and space, but also to provide our faculty and our specialist faculty who serve students and our staff with the tools that they need, whether it's servers or screens that are larger or ergonomic seats or anything else that they're going to need in order to give them a better ability to serve students more quickly. The final piece is the staff training, whether it's in the skills that they need to answer the questions, because we get new requirements and new policies every time the Board of Regents meets, and they change things and everything gets nuanced, and we're constantly having to retool ourselves to learn so that we don't do it by the conventional wisdom. And every day we learn that there's something new that we have to communicate to students. The other part is to think about how we're going to service students. And to that end, last year we had an effort at the retraining of our frontline staff so that they could be of greater service. First, to give them more information so that they could share it. Second, to improve their skills in how to share it, that is, how to collect information from students, how to be an active listener, how to hear what the actual problem is, how to work on resolving the problem locally and as quickly as possible, including if the answer is no or an emphatic no, or how to say no effectively, which is also a skill that we need to have given the kinds of things that we do. So we conducted a frontline training. About 60 of our employees went through, and this year I think we're going to expand it. We just had a meeting with the other side of the house to include more frontline people in training, giving them the opportunities to learn how we're going to do it. The most important piece, though, was figuring out how to empower staff to make decisions. One of the issues we have is because staff are classified in a certain way, they don't feel that they can actually make a decision. And so part of what we have to do is, in the training, is allow people to say, make changes that are necessary without having to ask and without having to fill out 35 and now 50 forms. And we understand the need for control. But I think from our purposes, we need to move the control to the people who are in front of students and not to a back office that either doesn't see students or doesn't work with them closely. So that's a summary for you of the kinds of efforts we're working on in the student services area as we try to meet the needs of evolving the students and the different needs that we have.
Thank you, Francisco.
Okay, thank you.
And anyone want to ask Francisco a question? You know, I think there's an interesting tie here, and as we move into campus security too, on something that I think the university needs to commit to is actually the professional development of all of our people. And Francisco alluded to the kinds of training that can help someone. You know, it actually is an incredible skill that can be trained in how to say no effectively that leads to a yes for the person. But also in campus security, you know, additional training for our people to handle things. Now, I do want to say I don't want to end up losing all our good people to HPD or something like that, or some other group that can pay more or something. But I think in terms of training and so on, and one of the discussions we need to have as a campus, I know this is a sensitive issue too, is whether we convert our security into an actual police force. And these are, and whether it's an armed police force. Now, these are very touchy, and of course, in going to that step, there's an awful lot of training that's involved in it. But these are kinds of conversations that I think we need to have as a university in order to make sure, if we're talking about campus security, we had an inmate loose just a couple days ago, and you know, a person like that gets on this campus, and our own security force is not armed. And so now, we all know the importance of making sure if we do have firearms, that the people who are using them are extremely well trained and know how to use them extremely well. And so but we need to engage in that conversation. It's a tough one to have. I myself would like to put a little task force together to come forward with recommendations. This isn't going to happen quickly, but maybe and Kathy, maybe I can ask you to think about this. We have a task force, we think about what the options are, and perhaps next fall in our campus conversations, we can start to flesh this out. We need to talk to the student organizations, Richard and Bonnie Jean, the faculty senate, and have these kind of conversations to think about from the professional side and hear from our pros, you know, where we might want to go in terms of campus security in terms of our workforce that are devoted to that. So, yes, sir.
I had a follow-up to your piece right there. In 2007, there was an audit done by Miriam Higa. Is there any follow-up action regarding security or maybe a converted police force?
So, Kathy, do you?
There has been no follow-up action.
Well, it might be good to.
We do have a campus security committee now. We had one group meeting that was led by Susan Hippensteel, and we're now moving it off into the functional people under Deb Hublert, and those are exactly the types of questions that this committee will be talking about.
Yeah. And Susan, do you want to say anything about, I know it's only been one meeting and so on, but do you want to say anything about any results there that are coming out, or is it too?
Deb and Alberta will go there, and since they're
okay.
Here to talk about this,
yeah. Okay.
they can probably address the issues.
Great, thanks.
Hi, I'm Deb Hubler from Campus Services. One of the issues that did come up was about the police force, because a lot of our peer institutions do have campus police or hybrids. You know, I think a hybrid force of security and police might be something that we'd want to consider, where we don't necessarily need like an entire police force, but maybe we do need just a small contingency of people who have enforcement powers similar to our city and county police. That was one of the issues that came up. I know that lighting was another issue that came up, because there are some areas on campus that maybe you feel a little unsafe in because they're not necessarily well lit. That's one of the topics that we're going to be tackling first when we start convening our campus security, safety, and emergency management committee. And we'll need to work closely with facilities and campus planning on that and identify areas that need more lighting. And then, of course, we'll also have to look for resources to install new lighting in areas that are deemed, you know, worthy of additional lighting.
Good afternoon, Alberta Pukahi with Campus Security, Acting Chief. So there was, in that same meeting, gender violence was brought up and the issues around gender violence. So that is another important issue of concern that we're looking at working with within this committee as well with our internal partners, Women's Center, Student Services folks, student housing, because of reports that we have on campus. And we know our report numbers are low, so we want to provide and promote education on the campus. And something that was suggested was peer counseling, peer mentoring for men. A challenge is recruiting peers to assist in the mentoring. So if you know of good students who might be interested in this type of peer mentoring, please, by all means, let us know. We work with Women's Center. They have a peer men's group. So that would be somewhere to send them to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Along the lines of education, do we have anything that addresses bullying or harassment on campus? Because a couple of times I've witnessed people being like bullying or harassing people, and people just basically just sat around and watched. So is there related to, education or something like that?
We do have a workplace nonviolence policy, and so if anyone sees or is a victim of any kind of harassment or abuse, you can call the Human Resource Department and they will immediately do an investigation. Students, we have same facility for students, staff, faculty, any person on our campus is entitled to a non-threatening environment. And our Human Resources Department does continual training, comes out to the departments and trains on our policies and procedures and what to do.
And is there ever like a general seminar, campus-wide seminar?
We could look into that. We do a lot of trainings, like I say, one in schools and in departments that might be a good forum for one of these communication events.
Yeah. And I do think, and Francisco, with new student orientation, I think we do a pretty good amount of training, but probably a little more communication about whether we're hitting some of these issues, particularly around gender violence, I think. There's also a strong correlation there with alcohol abuse and things like that. So tying all those together and making sure we have good communication. Thanks.
I just wanted to add, bullying is, conduct of bullying is covered by the student conduct code. Also, the university has the executive policy that governs that. And I think it's everybody's responsibility to get involved to some degree, if not, call security. Yeah, but the person is on our campus, and it's basically our responsibility. We do not get away from that liability, no matter what happens. No. We're still on the campus, and we're still responsible. So, as employees, students, we say something, then somebody else can take action. If we do nothing, then we're basically doing it. So, just get involved. Yeah. There's other entities that's called campus security authorities. They're like coaches, dorm, RAs, CSOs, which is campus security escort personnel. So there's different people that you can tell. And when you make the connection with them, they're obligated to push it forward upstairs in order to get some action taken on that particular issue. So if you say something, the more people will know and get involved.
No.
Well, I wanted to mention a couple of other things that were brought up in last week's meeting. The emergency call boxes on campus and their availability and accessibility. That was a concern that was brought up. So the operations and them being operational, the lighting on it. So we made it a point to do a campus-wide check this weekend with help from security staff. And we're able to come up with a good list of deficiencies. And we are currently working with the telecom office to ensure the repair of these call boxes. They are direct line to our office. For those of you who don't know, it's the red boxes that are stationed throughout the campus. They're in the parking structures. Areas around the campus, and it's a direct line to our office, so you just pick it up, and we will know where you're calling from, we'll know your location, so we can come to your location without a problem. That was an issue that was brought up, and back to the escort service that we provide. It's a service that we try to run with our students. We have student hires, about a dozen. And the service runs from dusk to dawn. So a primary reason for this service was for people walking around the campus alone at night. So, you know, the room board is alone. However, we have extended the service for parties of more than one. 2 and 3 we will pick up, but that bogs our service down. So for the individual who is alone on campus, and waiting for an escort, delays. Our students and our staff are aware that the primary is one alone, and to reroute and pick this person up. The parties of 2 and 3 can wait. And normally that's where we get our complaints from, that the wait is 20 and 30 minutes sometimes. That's how popular our program is. No. Because they have to wait. Because they're not getting on the shuttles. They're waiting for pickup from their building, from their dorm, to the nearest exit point, usually Varsity Gate, so they can run to 7-Eleven. And then they'll come back to Varsity Gate, call us again, and we'll take them back to the dorm. So, you know, and then that's a popular run. So we're really bogged down. Our students are bogged down. If it's not raining, we can use the electric carts. If it's raining, the increase in calls quadruples. So we try to ask every caller, how many is in your party? When we start to tell them we're not picking up 6, I can say, well, I have a party of 3. And they'll call right back and say, I have another party of 3. So several challenges in this program. Our sergeants, Okamura, Andrade, Rafanan, and Aquino oversee the program because it's at night. So very challenging and they committed that if the escort program gets bogged down, they will step up and go and pick these students up. Okay, so I just wanted to have them stand up so you can see our sergeants, our supervisors here today. And I also wanted to comment that I too like the yes, we can, how can we help you approach, because I believe that we are here to help. We're here to help the students succeed, and a part of my job is for my staff to be successful. So I think all the way around, we have to help and one another and we welcome your help too. Call us if you see a problem. Please call us. Does everybody know our phone number? Not too many hands. 66911, that's an online direct line to our office. We have a couple of informational cards at the back with our phone number, another card for emergency services, and then another card for our ever popular escort program. I wanted to also mention Deborah Huebler, who is our director and very supportive of our office, and our many colleagues and friends, particularly student services. We love them. We work great with them. Dean of Students, Laurie Adetta. I don't want to forget our emergency management coordinator, Jimmy Waldner.
Thank you, Chief.
So my name is Jimmy Lugner. I'm the emergency management coordinator for the campus. I'm just kind of curious, how many of you have signed up for the UH alerts? Good. And that's basically one of the premier services that we have to be able to alert you of in progress, impending threat alert on campus that may affect your safety. We're one of the few state departments in the state that has that capability. In fact, we had it before the county did. And we continue to enhance and polish that, and it's because of your questions and your concerns. So if you haven't signed up for the UH alert, because you have to sign in to provide your cell phone information to get the information. If you have a hawaii.edu, you automatically get to that address, that information. So it's because of that information we're able to help you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, one last thing. Did you get your flu shot? All right, so it's not too late. We have it at our campus health center. We're also one of the few campuses that has a pandemic response plan. So.
I thought, well, I went in there without. Have they gotten it more?
You brought that up last time.
Yes. The serum is out, and they've been out for 3 weeks now.
We'll try to follow up. But see, the thing is, not just for our campus clinic, but also many other pharmacies also have that, they have it available. So it's not too late. It is locally available. I can try to find out with regards to that, where else, the closest you can go. There's actually an app for that. You can go to flu.gov and try to find out where's the nearest pharmacy that has it available. So I urge you to get that shot. Thank you.
Well, thank you all. It's 1 o'clock. I hope that you're finding these conversations helpful. I sure am, and I appreciate all the input here. And thank you to our student life and our officers here and sergeants and chief for your help in this. I thought it was a great conversation. The rain kept a few away, but maybe they were with us online. But let's keep the conversation going. And thanks so much for coming.